What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Heat Report, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the main issue with the roster construction of the Miami Heat. Now, before I even get into it, I want to make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. On the road to 400 subscribers, man. Let's see if we can get that mark. You know, y'all killed the last video, the video before that, killing it with the support, so appreciate that. And yeah, let's get right into it. So the Miami Heat are just coming off of two losses, the first one being against the Memphis Grizzlies away to Memphis, and the second one being at home against the Indiana Pacers. So in these two losses, you know, the losses are contrastingly different. The first one against the Memphis Grizzlies, it was our offense. You know, we just weren't able to hit shots. We just weren't able to, you know, produce offensively apart from one or two players. And that really hurt us down the stretch. I really thought that we defended them very well. It was just that our offense kind of just killed us, and we weren't really able to get anything going down the stretch. And especially that third quarter run that they had, that kind of, you know, changed the momentum of the game completely. Against the Indiana Pacers, it was I actually thought we started off defending them pretty well until, you know, their bench came in and TJ McConnell and Doug McDermott, and they just started getting a bunch of open threes, and they were knocking their threes down left, right, and center. It was painful to watch. It was kind of reminiscent to that Bucks game, the first Bucks game of the regular season, where we got slapped up, we got annihilated, 47-point loss against the Bucks, and it was kind of the same thing against the Indiana Pacers, and yeah, and they were hitting their threes and we were missing all ours. So what I really want to talk about is the main problem that we are having with this roster. Now, Trevor Ariza did come in, played 6 minutes, and you can't judge a player off of 6 minutes, especially if he hasn't played basketball in over a year. But from what I've seen from him, I don't think he's gonna be the offensive output that Jay Crowder was. I think he's gonna be like Iguodala, similar to how he came last year. He didn't play in a year. We traded for him at the trade deadline with Jay Crowder. Iguodala was that impact off the bench. If he was hitting his threes, amazing, but you can guarantee with Iguodala that he was going to play elite defense. And I think Trevor Ariza will be a great defender, but I don't think he's going to match the offensive output that Jay Crowder did. Now, with this roster, you know, obviously last year one of our main strengths was three-point shooting. We were second in the league in three-point percentage, and this year we have regressed to 27th. Now, I don't know if this is a matter of not hitting open shots. I don't know if this is a matter of teams have caught on to our sets. Whatever it is needs to be solved, because if you're not going to hit threes in today's day and age, you're not going to win basketball games. And we have the reason that we have went on that winning streak when we had won 10 of our last 11 is because of our defense. I don't think our offense has been that great over the past, you know, couple of games. But we actually ranked bottom 5 in offensive efficiency. We're 25th if I'm not mistaken. Our defense over that stretch was the best defense in the NBA, which is why we were able to win a lot of these games, because we were just clamping up opponents. Obviously that didn't really go to plan against the Pacers. But yeah, our offense has always been an issue this year, and we really have to figure out, Spo said that it's only a matter of time before we knock down our threes, but the problem with our team is we sort of live by the three and die by the three. We're kind of reminiscent to that. I don't want to compare us to this team, but every time I look at it as like shooting a bunch of threes and missing, it takes me back to that Houston Rockets team that missed 27 straight and lost to the Golden State Warriors in Game 6. Or was it Game 7? It was Game 7. Yeah, they shot 27 straight threes, and they missed all of them. And it's kind of like you don't have a backup plan. And our backup plan when we're not hitting threes is basically Jimmy drawing a foul. But the problem with this is that we don't have multiple players when Jimmy's on the bench who can do the same thing, right? I think it's only Jimmy who has the ability to get to the cup consistently and draw a foul. Goran does it sometimes. Kendrick does it sometimes. Bam occasionally does it sometimes, but Jimmy is the guy who mainly does it for us. We don't have that off the bench. We don't have that when Jimmy's out. We kind of look very lost. Another thing that we're so reliant on Jimmy, which is another reason why he should be in the MVP talks, even though our record isn't as high as some other teams. When we talk about my most valuable player, Jimmy Butler is that. Like I would say he's top 3 as far as most valuable to their team. Like without Jimmy, we're terrible. I think we're a lottery team without him, and we were 13th. And even you can see his impact. Like when he's off the court, we struggle to get things going offensively. I think our defense is fine without Jimmy, which I don't want to disrespect him because he's an elite defender, but our offense is terrible. And this is the problem with our roster construction, which I really want to get into. Now, it's good, it's cool and all to have a team that's like has some veterans and has some young pieces when you're kind of, you know, when you're contending, but you also have a young core that can take you far for the future. That's cool. That's cool. But at some point, you have to make a decision, and the decision has to be: are we going all in, or are we doing this? Are we cooling off, waiting until, you know, Jimmy Butler's prime expires, and then we contend? Because if we're contending right now, Jimmy Butler is 31, if I'm not mistaken. He only has about 4 years, maybe 5. If Jimmy takes care of his body the way I know he probably can, I would say maximum 5 years. And that might be a stretch where he is at, you know, that level that we want him to be in order to win a championship. In this span, in this, you know, 3 to 5 years, something has to happen. A move has to be made. Now, do I think as of right now our roster can win a championship? No. But do I think we're very close? Yes. I do think we're very close. You don't get to the finals by accident and your team isn't good enough. Like our team last year against the Lakers, let's be honest, it was you can argue that the Lakers had the 2 best players in the series, but from 3 to 7, 3 to 8, you can argue that all those players belong to the Heat. Now that's cool, but you need star power in a playoff series, and we don't really have that apart from Jimmy and Bam. And the problem with Bam is that I don't think Bam is a center. I think Bam is a power forward. We're playing him as center, and I've been thinking about it. Like, I don't think Bam is a guy that's gonna bang down low. He's a mobile center. He's a versatile big. He's not a guy that's gonna, you know, clean the glass and all that kind of stuff. I think he's a power forward. I definitely think he's a power forward, and that's why I think we need to go get a big, who can complement him. Because our rebounding is dead last, if I'm not mistaken. We're terrible at rebounding. And I do think it's because we're playing Kelly Olynyk at the 4, and no disrespect to Kelly, but he's not a rebounder. But yeah, I don't think Bam is a center. I really don't think Bam is a center. I think the ideal thing that the Heat want to have is, in a couple years, Bam develops a 3-point shot. He goes out to the 3-point line and plays that, you know, face-up game, and then you have a center inside, like right now how Andre Drummond is playing right now, who's a buyout candidate, someone who can be a monster, be a beast inside. Bam is not that guy. Bam is a finesse center. He's a guy that sometimes can use his power because he's strong, but he's a guy that tries to, you know, get past quick defenders instead of bodying them, you know, which is why a lot of teams have tried to put smaller defenders on Bam in order to slow him down, because it's harder for him to get past them with his quickness. That's his strength. Bam's quickness is his strength. He's not some beast down low. He's not a paint beast. If y'all play 2K, you know what a paint beast is. He's not that. He's a guy who tries to use his quickness to get past the big. So I do think we need a big body. We need a guy who, like a DeMarcus Cousins. I don't know. DeMarcus Cousins is still out there. And right now there's 4 days until the trade deadline. And we still have this $7.25 million trade exception that we can use. So we got to keep our fingers crossed for that, because I still think we need a big. Trevor Ariza is cool, but he's not a big. Another problem with this team is that we're relying a lot on our young players to carry us through the load when Jimmy Butler is out or he's off the floor. Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson are first, second, or third year players. They're not. Same with Kendrick Nunn. They're not, you know, veteran pieces. We're relying on a lot of these guys, a lot of these young pieces, to, you know, bail us out. And these guys are young. Like we have to give them time, and accept that we're not going to be, a true championship contender, or we have to move them for pieces that can help us contend right now. That's a decision that the front office have to make, because it's cool to do all this half stuff where we're kind of contending and we're not contending at the same time. But at some point, you got to make a decision. That's like the Nuggets. Like, the Nuggets do the same thing as us. And I think the Nuggets need to make a move as well. They have a lot of young assets, like a Michael Porter Jr., Bol, people like that, probably aren't ready to compete for a championship right now. But in the future, they'll be at their primes. And they're gonna have to make a decision as well. There are a lot of teams in this purgatory where they have young pieces, but they also have veterans who are ready to win right now. And that's where the Heat have to make a move, because Jimmy Butler, by the time Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson, if he even has a peak, or Kendrick Nunn, by the time these young guys reach their primes and their peaks, Jimmy Butler is probably going to be on the decline. So we have to do something to complement Jimmy Butler in order to help him win a championship right now, or we just got to accept that we're not going to be truly contending for a championship with these pieces, because I really don't think it's right now, as his roster is presently constructed, that we're good enough to win a championship. I do think we still need some pieces, whether that's a Victor Oladipo in free agency, whoever that is. Another thing that I want to talk about is Duncan Robinson. Now, Duncan Robinson is a guy that last year kind of just shocked the world with what he did. He was kind of the breakout player of the season last year, if that's even an award. Lighting it up from three. He led the league in threes last year, broke so many records. The thing that Duncan Robinson did last year was set the expectation for him so high that this year he's shooting 39% from three, which is not a bad number. 39% from three, guys, is not a bad number. Please keep that in mind, that 39% from three is not a bad number. But for Duncan Robinson, with the expectations that he set for himself last year, 39% is looking like a bad year for him, because last year he was killing it. He was shooting like 45% from three last year. So 39%, even though that's not a bad number, those aren't the numbers that we've been accustomed to see of Duncan Robinson. When last year, every time a Duncan Robinson shot a three, I thought I was like, that's going in. This year, it's not the same effect, and I don't know if it's there's no way. Like, the thing that I want to say to people is, people are talking about trading Duncan Robinson. I don't have any problem with if you want to trade Duncan Robinson. My problem is with the people who are saying trade him because he's not making shots. That's the most falsest narrative I've ever heard. Even if he's not making shots, you have to understand that every shooter goes through a shooting slump. You can't expect shooters to go 11 for 11 throughout the whole season. That's not going to happen. You're going to have shooting slumps, right? So you have to keep that in mind. He's too good of a shooter to shoot like this the whole season. I promise you guys, Duncan Robinson is not going to be shooting the way he's been shooting these past couple games the whole season. He's going to find his shot. He's too good of a shooter. We know that. You can't just light it up one year and then have a slump and everyone says, oh, that last year was a fluke. Everyone wants to throw out the word fluke with the Heat. Nah, he's going through a slump. He'll get his form back. Now, I don't have a problem if you want to trade him for other reasons, like his plus minus or defensive efficiency, or when he's not making shots, what else does he do? Those I can see. And I really do want to say that if Duncan Robinson is not making his threes, he has to find a way to impact. He can't just be running around. It's too predictable. It's too predictable. Find a mid-range game. Find an in-and-out game. The great shooters, Joe Harris, JJ Redick, Klay Thompson, all these guys can somewhat put the ball on the floor. Seth Curry, put the ball on the floor and, take it to the basket. And that's what he has to work on, whether it's right now or the offseason. Duncan Robinson has to work on that inside game, that ball handling ability, even though it doesn't have to be Kyrie handles or anything like that. It just has to be, he has to be comfortable with putting the ball on the floor, because all the great shooters can at least put the ball on the floor and make a play, drive to the rim if their shots are not falling. Like, as good of a shooter as Klay Thompson is, he can put the ball on the floor. JJ Redick, same thing. Seth Curry, same thing. Joe Harris, same thing. These guys can put the ball on the floor. Duncan Robinson cannot do that. He's a shooter. That's what he is, and occasionally he'll cut to the rim. And if he's not making shots, he has to cut to the rim more. There's no way that we can just camp him out at the 3-point line where it's easy to defend him. And that's why teams like the article came out that teams are figuring him out. Like no one's figuring Joe Harris and Seth Curry and all of them out because they're able to put the ball on the floor. Now that I can say that Duncan Robinson has to work on. Another thing is Tyler Herro. I've seen Tyler Herro get a lot of criticism lately, but we have to remember that this guy is fresh coming off of an injury, right? He's coming off of an injury, multiple injuries if I'm not mistaken. And we gotta understand that Tyler Herro is a scorer. He's not a guy who's gonna facilitate. We keep comparing him to, Devin Booker is fine. You can be Devin Booker, but like he's not a point guard. He's not a point guard. Now, I you know what I'd do if I was Spo? I would put Tyler Herro at the shooting guard position and bring Duncan Robinson off the bench. I do think that would work out. Because we need offense. Our offense is terrible right now. We're the 5th worst offense in the NBA. So something has to change. And I do think Tyler Herro at that shooting guard position, because that's going to be his future with this team. If he's on the team, we're not going to bring him off the bench. He has too much potential in my eyes for him to be a 6th man. I do think he can be a Jamal Murray type player at his ceiling. And I know Jamal Murray is a point guard, but he's a guy who's going to score. Because the only reason Jamal Murray is a point guard is because of his height. Tyler Herro is 6'5", so he's going to be a shooting guard. So I want to see Tyler Herro play shooting guard with this team. Duncan Robinson is a guy who's limited. He can shoot the ball. That's about it. I don't really think he can do much else besides shoot. I love his defensive improvement. He's competing on defense. He just has to figure out the ball handling ability, and the ability to put the ball on the floor, and build some more muscle for him to not get moved off the block. And I do think Duncan Robinson can have a future with this team. Tyler Herro is a guy that we have declined multiple trades for him, which means we're trying to build him for the future. We got to start him at the shooting guard position. I do think that's the future for him. And we got to make sure that we do it sooner than later, so we're not trying to integrate this man halfway through the season or next season when we're even more ready to compete. We're trying to integrate a guy into being a starting shooting guard, but he's never been that. So this has to be the season for him to be a starting shooting guard. Apart from that, I do think that's pretty much it. I just wanted to get all that off my chest. I've been thinking a lot about the problems with this team, roster construction, not having a true center, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Herro situation. Kendrick Nunn has to get it going. Dragic has to get it going. Avery Bradley, don't know what's going on with him, but he's been injured basically his whole time he's been with us. It's just, it's frustrating. But hopefully things will get back together. If there's one team that I trust for, bounce back ability, it's this team. And we all know that this team will be in the thick of things in the playoffs. I just don't think we're good enough to win it all. And I do think we need to make some moves. And hopefully we do. The trade deadline's in 4 days, like I said before. Hopefully we see if we can make some moves. But that's going to be from you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. It was a longer video. And yeah, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see y'all later. Peace.